Yes, Binduji. So today is Taittareeya Upanishad class 19, and we will close the chat when Binduji is giving us the presentation. And after the class, and the hand raising will be closed. And after the class, we'll start the chat and the hand raising. So over to you, Binduji.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Prasad. Welcome all. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrabhyo Vamsharishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutravasya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Taittareeya Upanishad Shanti Mantram for Brahmanandavalli. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we have completed this Brahmavid apnoti param tadeshabhyukta satyam jnanam anantam brahma yo veda nihidam guhayam parame vyoman sosnude sarvan kaman saha brahmana vipaschiteti. Up to this we have completed. Today onwards we are going to start from the tasmadva ye tasmad atmana akasha sambhudaha. So I will just read that portion alone. Tasmadva ye tasmad atmana akasha sambhudaha akashat vayuhu Vayoragnihi Agnerapah Adhyah Prithivi Prithivya Aushadayaha Aushadebhyo Annam Annat Purushaha Sava Yesha Purusho Annarasamayaha Tasyeda Eva Shiraha Tasya Idam Eva Shiraha Ayam Dakshina Pakshaha Ayam Uttara Pakshaha Ayam Atma Idam Pucham Pratishta Tadapyesha Shloko Bhavati. So, after having explained Satyam Jnanam and Anandam Brahma, the Upanishad has started straight away saying that Tasmadva etasmad Atmana Akasha Sambhudaha. Instead of Brahmana Akasha Sambhudaha, it mentioned as Atmanas Akasha Sambhudaha. Why did the Upanishad make a deviation? When the topic started was with Brahman, Brahma Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma or Brahma with Apnoti Param. From that, the deviation to Atma was disconnection or is it with a purpose? We saw that the purpose of this change from Brahma to Atma is with a definitive purpose. Because having told the fundamental reality and how it is, for us to understand that being incapable of looking to things which are not perceivable as defined by the Upanishad, what is Brahman, we will be placing Brahman as an object which is unapproachable, unconceivable, inconceivable, or distant. This will not give us the desired result or the purpose for studying the Upanishad, unless it gives us the immediate experience of the knowledge of Brahman and Atman. Atman, as we all know, is the self in all. Even though the word Atman has been used to different connotations under different contexts, Atma is sometimes referred as the ego, sometimes as the self, the Jivatma, sometimes as a mind, sometimes as intellect. So here, the word tasmad, etasmad, both are having the same meaning. So if the Upanishad wanted to mention that Atmanaha means from Atma, it is a fifth, this from, apadanam. From Atma, Akasha Sambhuta. From Atma, Akasha was created, or Akasha came out of. Sambhudaha means Samyak Bhutaha. It came out, Akasha came out of the Atma. So if that be the case, the words Tasmad and Etasmad was superfluous and not necessary. The Upanishads would have that Atmana Akasha Sambhutaha Akashad Vayu Vayoragnihi would have been enough. But why did the word, two words, Tasmadva, Etasmadva, Atmana Akasha Sambhuta, in that one, the Bhashya, Shankaracharya very clearly explains that. Tasmad iti means the word Tasmad, Moola Vakya Sutridam Brahma Paramrashyate. Moola Vakya Sutridam. The Moola Vakyam is what? Brahma Vidapnoti Param. There, the Brahma was Paramarsha, was referred as Param, not as Brahma itself. And Etasmat iti, there is a second word Etasmat. Mantravakyena. In the Mantravakya, Anantaram Yada Lakshitam. In the Mantravakya means Satyajnanam Anandam Brahma is the Mantravakya. The other one is Moola Vakya Sutra, Sutridam, Sutra Rupena. So, Yad Brahma Adau Brahmana Vakyena Sutridam Yat Cha Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma Ityandaram Meva Anantarameva Lakshitam. So here the two words, Tasmad is Brahmana Vakyena Sutritam. So the word Tasmad is for that Brahma which is being referred as Brahma Vidapnoti Param. In that Param word is being referred as Tasmad. And the word Etasmad which is following that is the Lakshana Vakya Satyajnanam Anandam Brahma. There the Brahma is referred. Ityanena Ityanandarameva Lakshitam. So there are two. One is Sutritam and Lakshitam. So in the first one, it was in the form of a sutra. Brahma was referred. One who knows Brahman will pervade the Brahman itself. So there is the Brahmavid Apnoti Param, means that is the meaning of it. The same thing, that Param is now Brahma. We know that. And that has been Lakshitam as a Lakshana Vakya has been given as Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam. So these two are now being brought into one ambit of both being referring to one and the same object of Brahman. Tasmad etasmad Brahmana Atmana Atma Shabda Vachyat. So here in this one, Atma Vachya Shabda Vachyat, by using the word Atma Shabda in the Vachya means Tasmad etasmad Atmana Akasha Sambhudaha. That Atma Shabda Vachya, Brahmana Atmanaha, both Brahma and Atma is identified. So the listener who is now listening to this should understand it as this Atma, that means my Swarupa. Here the Atma word is used as Swarupa of the listener. Each one of us, when we listen this, we should understand that the Upanishad is now referring to our own Swarupa and equated to Brahma. But for us, the problem is that I know myself as a very limited individual, conditioned by the time, space and object, limited by the sense organs for knowledge, limited by the mind for understanding and comprehending and remembering. All sorts of limitations are there in me. But how can I say that I am the all-pervading Brahma in which everything is sarvantarya, that ananyatvad and sarvakaryatvad. We learned it in the last class. That Brahma, which is the karanam for sarvakarya, it is the root cause or primordial cause for every effect or everything in the world. And sarva ananyatvad. And it is non-separable from others in the sense that everything is in Brahman. Because then only the word Brahman can become meaningful, that all pervasiveness applicable to. If anything is outside Brahman, the Brahman is not all pervasive. So ananyatvam is not to, give the importance to the individual things. No, it is to bring everything as very much embedded in or included in Brahma. So now when this was told, Nihidam Guhayam Parame Vyoman, in the previous mantra, that Nihidam means made available or existing, Guhayam, in the cave of my heart or in the space of my heart, Parame Vyoman, that supreme space which is equal to the Brahman itself. That is now I have to think first pervading within me in my heart space. But I know myself as a physical entity. Any reference to me is referred to the physicality. So I am unable to connect this physicality and the mental space where the Atma or Brahman is seen or is felt or is available for perception or available for knowing. The connection between these two are now becoming a difficult proposition for ordinary minds. So what happens is that the purpose of the Upanishad now is to bring this Panchakosha Viveka, means 5 sheaths. The grossest being the body, which is made out of food. Annam means food. So made out of food, Annamaya, then Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. Like that, 5 sheaths are being referred in this Upanishad. How we have to transform ourselves or take our identification from the external physical being to the innermost place where Nihidam Guhayam Parame Vyoman, where this Atman or Brahman is pulsating in each one of us. This is the purpose of the Upanishad in this part from the rest of the next sessions which we will be seeing through. So for this purpose, it has to bring Atma and Brahma as one and the same. we will not be able to pervade the entire eternity to comprehend what is Brahman. But the very same Brahman in which everyone, everything, and from starting from an iota onwards, everything is available as embedded or ananya rupena, without any separation from Brahman is existing. I am also part of that. So what is my relation to Brahman is important. To know this, the relationship between my nature or my Swarupa and Brahman is why this word Atma is now used. So Acharya says that Atma hi tat sarvasya. Every atom, amoeba or atmospheric, anything in the whole sky or in this whole universe, everything has got a Swarupa. Swarupa means a nature by which it is identified. That nature with which one is identified is called Atma. And Atma hi tat sarvasya. Atma hi tat means Atma is indeed that Brahman. And sarvasya means because ananyatvam, there is no separation form is possible for, will be possible for us to see the nature in which each one's Atma is to be seen. But when it is saying that it is Sarvasya Atma, means it is the nature of everything. How the nature of mind is coming from Brahma. Now, we all of us have a fairly good idea that I know things, I am aware of things, and I am aware of myself. I am aware of my body. I am aware of my mind. That awareness or the knowledge or the consciousness in me is my nature. Because I am able to know myself or know my mind, know my body or know my objects. Everything is by the awareness or the knowledge. So Atma is referring to that knowledge. But when I am knowing you or any other object, I am not able to know that knowledge aspect as your Swarupa or the Swarupa or the nature of a tree or a dog or a bird or a stone. But here it says Atma hi tat. Atma is indeed Brahman and Sarvasya is of the nature of or the Swarupa of everything. How do we connect between these two is very important. For that purpose only, the Upanishad is now coming with the Panchakosha Viveka. To begin that, we have to go to the Annamaya first. How does the Annamaya and I am related is what is the purpose of this particular section. That is that Tat Satyam Sa Atma Tattvamasi Shvetakato Tattvamasi Tad Tvamasi Chetoketo Tat Satyam, that Sat which I started, the father Uddalaka says to Shvetaketu, that Sat Sadeva Saumya Idamagra Asit. That in the beginning only it was in the form of Sat, existence. And Tat Satyam, that Sat is Satyam. Satyam means Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam. That Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, Tat Satyam Sa Atma. So both here in the Samanadikaranyam, Tat Satyam, Satyam being neuter, Tat Satyam, Atma being Sa Atma. So that Satya, he is Atma. Sa Atma means that is Atma. That means that Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam and that Atma are one and the same. Tat Tvam Asi Shayataketo. That is you are that Shvetaketu. Is what the Chandogya Upanishad says that. It is Shrutyandarat. That in the Chandogya, it is saying is exactly what this Tasmat va etasmat atmana. That word is in telling the same thing, Tattvamasi, in another format. That's all. That Atma and Brahman is none different. It is one and the same. Ataha Brahma Atma. Therefore, Brahma and Atma is one and the same. Tasmat etasmat Brahmana Atma Swarupat Akasha Sambhutaha Samutpannaha. Now, Atmana Akasha Sambhuta, when we hear it, from the individualistic point of view, when we hear that Akasha is now born out of Atma, it is very difficult for us to conceive or even accept. Because I know myself as a limited thing, which I explained earlier. From me, how can this whole sky, which is including me, it is allowing me to exist in it, outside, for the physical body and for the space inside my heart. Everything is possible to exist in Akasha. And that Akasha, how can it come out of me? Akasha, Atmana Akasha Sambhutaha. So, here it is says that Atma Swarupat. Now, Atma also has a Swarupa. This Jivatma or this limited individual, the nature of that is what? That is Brahmana. That Swarupa of Atma is Brahman. Atma, Brahma, there is no difference between the two because the Swarupa of Tadatmyam, that is the word is used in the meaning by Swarupat. Tadatmyam means identification, absolute identification without any sort of possibility of segregation or separation. That is why Swarupa or Tadatmya is mentioned. So I may use the word Tadatmya means Tad Atma means its nature or its identification or it is its own nature. So when it is Akasha Sambhutaha from Atma, now Akasha is separate and Atma is separate. What is being created from a cause, the Karya will look separate from the Karana or from the cause, the effect looks separate, but it, even though it may look separate, the cause is present in the effect. Like how the clay pot has clay in it. The clay lump is the cause from which the shape of the pot has been created. So there is a Karya Karanas, Karana Vyatirekena, Karyam Nasti. That is, without the cause, there is no effect. Here, the cause and effect relationship between Akasha and Atma is that Atma is the cause and Akasha is the effect. So what happens when such a formation takes place? Akasha nama shabda gunaha avakashakaro murta dravyanam. In the formation of murta dravya or the created objects, Akasha is having a qualification called sound as its nature. Now, that nature of Akasha, which is sound, is not separate from Atma. So the Atma, Akasha, the effect and the cause and the effect, the relationship is now passed on due to identification of Akasha in the Atma. The Shabda Gunaka, the Shabda from the Atma is now given to Akasha as the nature of Akasha. Because everything is in Atma or Brahman. So if even Shabda is available in Atma or Akasha, Atma or Brahman. But when Akasha was formed out of Atma or Brahman, the quality of Shabda was entrusted to Akasha as an identifier for Akasha to segregate itself from the rest of the creation what is going to come. So Avakashakara is one aspect which is there in Atma, which was entirely transferred into Akasha. Avakashakara means the potency to allow things to appear or to be inside something. For example, if a table is inside a room, the room space is Avakashakara, or the benefiting, or the one which is benefactory for the beneficiary of the table. The table get the benefit of being inside the room. Same way, Akasha is the one which allows everything to be present inside that, which it has got it from the cause, basically from the Atma itself. But it has also given the qualification of sound as an identifier, as a gunam to Akasha. So, tasmat akashat svena sparsha gunena purvena cha akasha gunagena shabdena dvigunaha vayuhu sambhudaha. Now, from Akasha, the Vayu is being sampannaha means created. Now here, tasmat means from that, tasmat akasha. So from that Akasha, swena sparsha gunena. Swena means by the identifier which is due to the tadatmya of the Vayu with Atma which is present in Akasha, as both Avakasha Datra as well as Shabda Gunaka, and Atma is not separate from, and Akasha is not separate from Atma, because the pot is not separate from the mud. Same way, Akasha is also not separate from Atma. Therefore, Vayu, when it has a tadatmya with Akasha and Atma, because Akasha also has got Atma in it, which is identified by the Shabda Gunaka. So, the Vayu has been given an identifier of Sparsha Guna, means touch, the sense of touch. Apart from that, since it is born out of Akasha, Akasha's Guna of Shabda also has been now given to Vayu. Therefore, there are two identifiers for Vayu, which is the Shabda Gunakaha of Akasha from the Karanam of Vayu, and Tadatmyena Sparsha Guna, because of the identifier given from Atma, the Guna which is not in the Akasha but it is in the Vayu is Shabda Guna, and the Sparsha Guna. So Akasha has got only one Guna. When from Akasha Vayu is born, Vayu gets two Guna. Two Guna mean two identifiers that both the sound and the touch. Vayoscha swena rupa gunena purvebhyam cha trigunaha agni sambhutaha. Now from Vayu, the fire principle, not the fire which we see in the world. That is not a principle, that is a Murta Dravya. That is what is physically formed after a certain process, which is called Panchikadram, which I'll explain later. So, the Agni or the fire principle is now born from Vayu. So, Vayu transfers both the guna which is present in it, like the sound and the touch, to fire, and due to Atma Tadatmya, the Agni gets a third qualification identifier which is unique to Agni, which is called Rupa Guna. Rupa means form. Akasha doesn't have form, the space doesn't have form, nor Vayu has a form, but the fire, which is born out of Vayu, has got the Shabda Guna, the Sparsha Guna, and the Rupa Guna. It has got forms which can be seen from in that. It has got a sound in it, and it is also what is called the Sparsha Guna. You can feel the heat and cold in the Agni. Agnescha Svena Rasagunena Purvaischa Tribihi Chaturtha Gunaha Apaha Sambhudaha. Same way, from the Agni, the water element principle is born with the three gunas which is present in the Agni or the fire, that is the sound, touch, and the rupa or the forms. Now, Rasaguna, taste, is the unique identifier which is given to water to Tadatmyana. So, we have now the four elements. Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha means water. Okay? And Advya, Svena, Gandha Rupena, Purvaischa Chadurbihi, Panjagunaha, Prithivi Sambhudaha. Prithivi means the earth element. Now the earth element takes 5 gunas. The unique guna of Prithivi is smell. The smell is Tadatmya with Atma, it gets in the Prithivi, and as a cause, the water is transforming the 4 gunas which are present in the water, namely the touch, the sound, the touch, the form, and rupa, and forma, and the what you call the rasaguna, the taste guna. So Prithivi gets all the 5. But we have to understand that this formation of the creation is at the adhyatmic level, not the scientific or physical material level. So we have to understand that these are all what we are talking about is the Tanmatra level or the principle level. And there, a process called Panchikaranam takes place, which is explained in detail in Chandogya Upanishad. What it is that half of one element, that is, for example, let us take Prithivi, or this earth element which we are now physically saying as the earth, is formed out of a process called quintuplication or the Panchikarana. 5 elements are brought in. What are the 5 elements? 50% is of that of the Tanmatra of Prithivi. That is why it is predominantly having that quality of smell. But it has got the other 4 elements in equal parts to make up for the balance 50%. Which means it has got the water element, the fire element, the air element, and the space element. All these elements with their own gunas are present to fill up the balance 50%. Same way, if you look at Akasha, the physical Akasha sky which we are seeing and experiencing with us is only 50% of the principle of Akasha or principle of space. The balance 50% is filled up by Vayu, Agni, Apa and Prithvi. That is why in the sky we can get the smell of earth, the wetness of the water, the forms which we can, which forms in the, which takes different forms depending upon the containers, and it also is felt as a space when we are utilizing the air moves in it, in the air, the touch specification of air in the air space is what we are facing it, we are feeling it, or the heat element we are facing in the air, the space is because of the Agni element. Like that, this is called Panchikirana procedure. Don't go into the details of it. It is all Adhyatma or the spiritual science, not the physical science where we can have a scientific way of measuring and analyzing that. So having formed the physical worlds of air, space, space, air, fire, water and earth, now from the earth, Prithivya Aushadayaha. Now Aushadaha, Aushad or Aushadaha in Sanskrit, Aushadayaha means Aushadi. Aushadi is the word. What is that? There are two types of Aushadi. Aushadi and Vanaspati. It is categorized like that. Those plants which gives rise to one-time produce like wheat, rice, maize, all those things which are producing one time only, and that crop is destroyed. They are all called Aushadaya. Vanaspadaya is that which keeps on giving produces like the mango, the apple, the trees or the bushes where multiple yield is given. They are all called Vanaspadeha. So Aushadi, Vanaspati together is called our Aushadi. Aushadebhyo Annam. Now the word Annam is food. Before creation of the what you call living beings, their food was created by this process of Panchikaranam. Because if those creation took place before the Annam was produced, they will not have survived. So for that purpose, the Annam was produced first, and Annat Reto Rupena Parinatat Purushaha Shirapanyadi Akritiman. Now here the word Purusha is being used. Purishayanat Purusha. Wherever you see the living beings are there. It can be birds, reptiles, mammals, or, human beings. All these are brought into the category of Purusha, Purishayanat Purusha. All of them have got life in them. And how did the life is being Annat Reto Rupa Gunayana Parinat. Reta means the virility. The virility in these mammals and animals and human beings, etc., are formed out of the food what they consume. Some animals consume other animals for their food, but that animals invariably is depending upon the Aushadi, means the vegetarians or the grass or food items, which is fruits, etc. So from that, the virility is transferred into the physical body, which is eaten up by the other animal, like lion or tiger or others also. In all these cases, it is from the anna, the reta rupa gunena, the virility for reproducing is converted inside the body of the individual. Here the word Purusha is used to only indicate Purishayana, which has got Shira Pani, means the like head and limbs, Akritiman, in the form of Akriti. Saha vai Yesha Purushaha Anna Rasamayaha Anna Vikaraha. That is why, indeed, this Purusha is called Anna Rasamayaha. He is made out of Anna, because it is that from one Anna, it is transferred to another, because by consuming that, the male is producing the male sexual requirements, or the female, when they eat, they produce the female sexual requirement, and when they are bringing together, the progeny is made, and progeny is also is consuming Anna, so that is consuming the food, so the cycle keeps on continuing. Therefore, Anna Rasa Vikaraha, it is because of the food which the bodies are being built. Purusha Akriti Bhavitam hi Sarvebhyaha Angebhyaha Tejas Sambhutaha Reto Bijam. So, it is in the form of, from the Purusha. Purusha means the physical being of animals and human beings. Sarvebhya Angebhyaha Tejaha Sambhudam Reto Bijam. This virility is due to the food which these animals or the human beings are consumed. Tasmat yaha jayate saha api tada purusha akriti reva syat. That is why the human beings are producing human beings, the animals are producing their respective animals, the birds are producing their respective birds. All these things are because of this cycle of the food which they consume is converted into a reproducing their own variety. The same food which is being eaten by an animal, for example, the grass or the wheat or the rice, the animal also gets a virility to produce another animal. It is not that because if a human being is eating rice and the animal given rice, the animal will give rise to a human being. No. It is, the conversion is done in the body of the one which is consuming the annam, and which is being transferred into their respective progeny production requirement. Therefore, jayate, the birth is depending upon the Purusha, or the animal or the human being who is consumed the annam. Purusha akriti reva syat. That is the why the akriti or the form of the progeny is replica of the father and the mother, or the male and the female. Sarva jatishu jayamananam janakakriti niyama darshanat. There is a niyama, there is a rule which is seen that the parents' form is acquired by the progeny. And this, for that, Redo Bijam. For that, the cause is the virility which is created by the annam. Sarvesham api anna rasa vikaratve brahma vamshetve cha avashishte. So, in all these vikaras, means reproduction or the producing, Vikaratve Brahma Vamshatve. All of them are Brahma Vamsha, or the progenies of Brahman. Because the principle of sky onwards, everything is from Brahma or Atma. And that is being continued. That is why in the physical body also, when the physical body is decayed, the respective things goes back to their respective elements. Whatever has been eaten from the mud will go back to the mud. Whatever water part is in the body will go evaporating into the water. Whatever heat has been produced in the body will go back to the heat. Whatever space which was occupying will go back to the space. Like that, every element will go back to their own respective spaces. Whether you burn it or cremate it, doesn't matter. Which shows that everything which is there in this world is invariably produced from the same Brahman, and that nature of creation is replicating itself. Therefore, in the Anna Rasamaya, we have to now imagine that the identification with which I am identifying the physical being is not the physical being I am identifying. I am identifying with the knowledge of my own nature, which is the nature of knowing by using the body. Kasmat Purusha Eva Grihyade. Why is it, the question is being now asked, why is it only the Purusha is being all this thing? Pradanyat. Only why the Pradanyam is that only we can see the cycle of repetition of production of the same category is seen only in the animals and the birds and everything. Therefore, that is why the Pradanyam or the importance is. Kim Punaha Pradanyam. What is the Pradanyam for the Purusha in the human being? So for that, the answer is Karma Jnana Adhikaraha. Among the animals and human beings, the human being, that is why the word Purusha was used by the Upanishad. Otherwise, it could have used the word Jiva. But why did they use the word Purusha? Because to give the Pradanyam or the importance of the human body. And why the importance of the human body? Karma Jnana Adhikaraha. For doing the karma and knowing one's own nature is possible only in the human body. What is to be done, what is not to be done, that karma adhikaraha in the Shastra can be known only by a human intellect. And then knowing one's own nature is driven by the inquisitive nature in the human beings alone. No animal is showing that inquisitiveness to know itself. They are all driven by their sense organs. Ahara nidra bhayamaitunancha samanya medat pasubir narana. Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesha dharmo vihina pasubir samana. Jnana is also used in place of dharma, also some subharshitam. That is ahara nidra bhayamaitunam. That food, sleeping, fear and reproduction. All these things are common with animals and human beings. Jnano hi tesham adhiko vishesha. To know oneself is the importance which is present in the human being. Jnano vihina pasubir samana. A person who doesn't have the inquisitiveness to know who am I is living the life as an animal like the rest of it. The jayaswa, mriyaswa. By birth and death, they keep on doing that like animals only. They keep reproducing ahara, nidra, bhayam, maitunam. But they don't ask for who am I. Therefore, the karma jnana adhikara is the pradanyam. Purusha eva hi shaktatvad artitvad aparyudastaha tvacha karma jnanayor adhikriyate. Purusha eva hi. This human form alone is capable of shaktatvad, has the capability to perform the karmas and undertakes the studies. Arthitvad, the desire to know, artham, under the arthitvam is to desire to know oneself. And aparyudastasa, that nature by which the affirmation which can be done on the studies is done only for jnana karmayo adhikriyate, is being implied or applied to the jnana and karma only by human beings. To support that, a Brihadaranya Upanishad mantra is being quoted. Purushe tu avistaram atma sahi prajnanena sampannatamaha Vitnyatam vadati, Vitnyatam pasyati, Vedam swastanam, Veda loka lokau, Martyanama yatamikshati ityevam sampannaha, Athe ata itharesham, Pashunam asanaya pipase, Eva abhijnanam. So it is not our statement. The Upanishad is also saying that Purushe tu avistarat atma. Avistara Purusha eva avistaram atma. That atma, which is all pervading in the human being, sahi prajnanena, by wisdom or knowledge, sambannatamaha, he becomes, sambanna means wealthy, wealth of knowledge in him. When it becomes supreme, vitnyadam vadati, he speaks wise words or speaks of the truth. Vitnyadam pasyati, he speaks wisdom and he sees wisdom everywhere. Veda, swastanam Veda, he has a desire to know. Here Veda, swastanam means in future, if he is not having the knowledge, to learn it tomorrow, is the desire to learn it tomorrow or in future is also seen in human beings. Veda, loka lokau, what is experiential and what is non-experiential, loka and alaukika. That martyenam tama ikshati ityevam. Only by a human being, martyenam amatamam ikshati ityevam. Only being seen in a human, martya here means human being. Only in the human being these qualities are seen, and their sampannaha is adorned with these qualities. Atha iteresham pashunam, but in the other animals, asana pipasa, the food and the hunger or the thirst, eva avijnanam, that alone is their desire or their knowledge. Their knowledge is limited to hunger and thirst and progeny, of course. That is it. Ityadi Shrutyandara Darshanat. This is how it is mentioned in the Brihadaranya Upanishad about the difference between human beings and animals. So, now we have to understand that this is the beginning. Now, why we should start transforming from our physical being, even though it is having Brahma in it, Atma in it, we will not be able to see the Atma or Brahman in the body unless and until through the process of Panchakosha Viveka, by peeling onions, like the peeling of the 5 shells or the 5 sheaths of human existence, which is namely the Annamaya Kosha, the food sheath, Pranamaya, the vital air sheath, Manomaya, the mental sheath, Vijnanamaya, the intellectual sheath, Anandamaya, the bliss sheath, and then Karana, that is the place where we should know where the Atma is residing. Nihidam Guhayam, Parame Vyoman, is able to see that only when I am not the physical body, I am what? That stage by stage we have to go when we go through the steps given by this Upanishad, which we will be taking up in the subsequent classes. So I will stop here in today's thing. It is more of technical, and main thing is what we have to understand is that when Upanishad is talking about these creations of individual thing, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Jal, Prithvi, etc., it is not at any point in time saying that it is separated out of Atma or Brahman. The fifth guna, or the guna which is with which each one of them is identifying, comes directly from the Atman, not from the previous from which it has taken birth. That is the most important aspect we have to remember. If the Prithvi or the earth has got smell as its guna, that smell guna is not present in its cause, which is in the water element. That guna of smell in the Prithvi has been derived directly from Atma, Tadatmyatvena, because the earth its earth principle identify itself with Atma to get the identifier called the smell as the identifier. That we have to always keep it in mind, that at no point in time we are separated out of the Brahman or Atman, even though we may feel that we are limited individual when we identify with the body. But to see the Atma or Brahman in the body is not physically possible due to the limitation of our understanding of the capability of the mind. That is why the Upanishad is giving us the Panchakosha Viveka to travel inward. Once we travel inward, then when we travel external with the knowledge of our own truth, we will see that it is nothing but Atma or Brahman in everything. Starting with our own physical body, and we will also able to see the same thing in every physical body of every animal or any creation in this world. So I stop here. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahavidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyawada.
Thank you, Binduji. A little exhaustive, and I'm glad you took up the Panchikarana process, and especially trying to. It will be a challenge, Binduji, to make sure that even though the Upanishad says that it has come from Atma, it still does not cease to be Atma, right, Binduji?
Yes, it never ceases to be Atma.
Yeah. That
every
is,
atom is indeed Atma,
right.
but we have the separation feeling because of the Gunaka which is being transferred on due to Tadatmya.
Okay.
That is why even when the mud lump, clay of lump becomes a pot, identical to the clay, we are able to know the pot as clay. We are not able to take out the name and form of the pot away from the pot. That is what is called the tadatmya of the pot with the mud. The mud becomes the body of it, but the name and form is coming out of the tadatmya, whereas the body of the mud is coming from the karana and karya relationship, cause and effects relationship. Because the potency of to take shape is embedded in the mud lump of clay. That is the potency which makes the pot tadatmya or identified with the lump of clay. Once it has become the pot, the name and the form of the pot separates it from the lump of the clay.
Vacharambanam vikaro namadheyam.
Yes.
And Binduji, when Shankaracharya tried to explain that the 5 elements, the Panchabhutas, have come from Atma, and how is it related to Atma, he made a point that it is a Swarupa of Atma. Right, Binduji?
Yes, it's a Swarupa of Atma, which is
but it is to be seen in the same way that it is a Swarupa of Atma, but it's not that the Swarupa of Atma is separate from Atma and has modified itself separate from Atma. It simply means that there is no, the Atmatvam of all these modifications have not undergone any change, that it continues to be as it is.
Yes, absolutely. That is why everything has got Atma when we say it is because the Atmatvam has not undergone any change.
Correct. And again, for the benefit of the listeners and myself, then we perceive all cause and effect as just a phenomena that is on Atman. Of course, even cause and effect cannot be separated from Atma in Advaita. Right, Binduji? But then how do we perceive cause and effect?
Yeah, that is why Ananyatvad, the cause and effect are Ananyam, is not separate.
Separate. The effect is not separate from the cause, and the cause is not separate from the effect.
Yes.
Okay. So that would mean, Binduji, like how, like the process of Akasha Vayuhu means Vayu has Akasha in it, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Vayu,
or it is better to say Akasha has Vayu in it. Akasha has Vayu in it, but Vayu has got a Tadatmya Guna from the Atma, which makes Vayu the Sparshavan, the touch quality in the Vayu, is due to the Atma present in the Vayu.
Right. Okay. And same when Vayu becomes Agni, it also means that Agni is nothing but Vayu and Akasha.
Yeah, that is exactly the reason the Agni is present in the air all the time when we say that.
Right.
But it becomes Agni when it becomes an effect. But that time, the Atma of Agni is the Rupa Gunaga, the shape, which it gives like the flame shape.
Right. And the vision, the Advaitic vision is not on the modifications, that is the Nama Rupa, but it is on the Astitvam or Sat in everything.
In everything.
So that
and it is the Satyam Jnanam Nanantam is pervading in every object. Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Vapa, Prithvi, everything.
Right.
That Satya Jnanam Anantam that is why Brahma with Apnoti Param. That Apnoti is pervading. It is pervading not because they were separate and it is entered them. They were, like Akasha has got the Avakashakara, as Akasha, the space has the quality to imbibe everything in it. Same way, the Brahman is able to imbibe even the Akasha in it. That is how the all-pervasiveness of Ishavasya Sarvam is coming into reality.
Binduji, just once, I'm sorry, could you just repeat that last line?
See, the Akasha, for example, has the potency to allow everything get in it,
Right.
imbibed in it or embedded in it.
Okay.
But the Akasha itself is embedded in Brahman.
Correct.
So Brahman is becoming all-pervasive because not the things are separate and Brahman entered them. No.
Right.
It is the being present inside Brahman. It cannot be separate from Brahman. Therefore, it is all-pervasive.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Binduji. I'm sure, but the rest would have more questions. So, Prakashji, would you like to announce members to come up, please?
Yes, definitely. First of all, thank you, Binduji and Prasadji, for having come up to the stage and held the stage. Thank you. The hand raising is on. I pinned the Taittareeya Upanishad document up there, and Binduji will be ready to answer some or discuss with you. Venkatji is up here. Namaste, Venkatji.
Namaste. Hari Om, Binduji, Prakash.
Hari Om.
Yeah, this has been one of the very, very clear sessions. That Tasmad Vai Tasmad Atmana Akasha Sambodha. This Atma Swarupat Akasha Sambodha Samutpana. This the Tadatma Bhava of Akasha now showing up. Then Tadatma Bhava of Vayu show up later, all that. But this Akasha Nama Shabda Gunaha. This Nama Shabda Gunaha is a little bit, who's giving this Nama Shabda Gunaha? Akasha Nama Shabda Gunaha. Why this one, this Nama Shabda called out, Binduji?
See, that is why I told now, from the Atma, when the Akasha Sambhuta, when the Akasha took place, Akasha appears to have separated out of Atma as a principle. What did it carry? The all-pervasiveness nature of Atma or Brahman with it. But since it is a karya or an effect from Atma, it has to be given an identifier or gunaka, a guna with which we are able to say this is Akasha, this is Atma. Even though there is no separation between the two, for the transactional purpose, we have to segregate Akasha from Atma. For that purpose, Akasha is given Shabda as the quality in Akasha by Atma itself. That comes from Tadatmya. Because when Akasha, having become separated out of Atma, with all the qualities of Atma, it yet wants to have the Atma with it. Now, how will the Atma be in Akasha at the same time make it appear separate from Atma? So, one aspect of guna, like the Shabda guna, was made predominant in the Akasha to make it identifier. That is why Nama Gunaka Akasha, Shabda Nama Gunaka, Akasha Nama. So that is how in each of the stages, one guna is being given to each one of them as a Tadatmya guna. It is born out of the Tadatmya guna by identifying itself.
Instead of, we could have given Avakasha, right? Avakasha was better.
No, Avakasha is there in Atma, also has got Avakasha. Atma is Avakasha Dhatu. Everything is inside Atma, Brahman or Atman. So Akasha and Brahman would not have been different then.
Okay, so you can't give Avakasha.
Yes.
Okay, this is clear.
But Venkatji, just 1 minute before we move to the... So I'm still not able to make that connection of Tadatmya with how it is unified with Brahman. I mean, all these bhutas, Binduji, I'm not able to make that link.
There's a sarva karanatvat, no?
Uh, No, that I
Yeah.
understand. No, what I'm saying is the Tadatmya aspect you bring in, no, Binduji. There you
Yes.
say that, again, what did you say? You said that, therefore, the attribute of sound is given to Akasha so that,
Yes.
so that,
Akasha has got a special identification.
right. And you said that, so how does it be that it
So
is actually
Akasha is not separate from Atma or Brahman.
correct?
But for transaction, we need Atma to have a guna with which we can transact with Akasha.
Okay.
Or, right?
Right. Okay. So for
For the
transaction,
transaction, for the
correct.
transactional purpose, a quality called guna was attributed to Akasha, which is present in the Brahman or Atman.
Okay.
But predominate, giving that, like a designation given to Akasha.
Correct. Okay. So that there can be communication in Brahman, so to say.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I get the point. Okay. Right. That's a, I mean, yes, that's a beautiful way of somehow stitching it together. I think it's a genius way of looking at it also. So so Vayu becomes so that you can touch Brahman. That's why in order to touch Brahman, it becomes Vayu and it has the Sparsha Tattva in it, right, Bindu?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So in that also brings in how the Kenopanishad says the mantra Prati Bodha Viditam Matam, right? So
Right.
Right. So in all the senses, in all experiences, it is nothing but Brahman, but in the eyes, through the eyes it appears as Rupa, through the touch it appears as Sparsha, and through the ears it appears as sound, etc.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Great, Binduji. Thank you.
So that sarva karanatvat is the critical aspect that kept coming one by one in the
Right.
sequence.
Mm.
Okay, I think this resolves it, Binduji. I think this was that yonihi, that from there to Akasha. And Akasha we resolved with the Sarva Ananyatva and Sarva Karanatva. That gives that connection.
Yes.
So now we'll progress to the next one.
Every stage you have to do the same thing. But only thing is that the moment it goes to the next one, it will have both the identifiers, the Shabda identifier and of its own, the Sparsha also will get added to Vayu. But when it goes to Agni, it will have Shabda, Sparsha and Rupa, the third one.
Okay.
Which is unique to fire. And then when it comes to the water, the Apa thing, it will have the three of fire plus the Rasaguna of the water, which is an identifier for the water. So everywhere Ananyatvam and Sarvakaranatvam will have to be applied, and the uniqueness for transaction is due to the quality which is being given to that particular principle.
Okay. Now, can you now tally this with Gnanam now?
Everywhere Jnanam only, no?
Exactly. That Swarupa Gnana.
Not only Jnanam, Satyam, Jnanam and Anantam is there in all.
In all of that, yes, there is no separation. You cannot separate each of this. Because see, Gnanam with Satyam, Gnanam with Anantam.
Yes.
Right? That adds up. Basically, you take Gnanam, you can't analyze without the other two. You take Anantam, you can't analyze with other two. Or, you take Satyam, you can't analyze with other two. So that is evident now because this is now tallying all of this. Thank you, Binduji. Now, coming to the next one, that Annarasa vikaraha. That, savai yesha purushaha annarasa mayaha. Annarasa vikaraha purusha kruti bhavitam ihi. This why vikaraha? In that case, why call it vikaraha? If it is gnanam. Why?
Why it is called a vikara is because of Prithivya Aushadebhyo Annam. Right? That when it comes to Anna level, what happens is that is why Annat Purushaha and Purusha Rasamayaha, Anna Rasamayaha. Right?
Okay.
Now one of this thing is that it is all continuing there also. There, the vikara is happening after Panchikarana, which doesn't happen up to Prithivi level. Up to Prithivi level, Tanmatra form is there. And then, from Prithivi to Aushada, in between, in this Upanishad, it doesn't talk about it. But the Panchikaranam or Trivitkaranam, there are two formations, either triplication or quantiplication. This thing, Panchikarana, being referred in Chandogya, before the Prithivi to this thing, Aushada. Aushada is a matter, physical matter. Whereas Prithivi, up to Prithivi, the first 5, Sambhudaha, he didn't say that Prithivya Aushadaya, not Prithivya Aushadaya Sambhudaha, it didn't say that. The word Sambhuda was not used. Because there the Panchikarana is the reason why which the Aushadhi starts. And Aushadhi Annam. Aushadhi Vanaspati becomes the Annam for Purusha, which is also is a creation from Annat Purushaha. Right? Why? That cycle of birth from the Annam becomes the Retas. Retas produces the progeny, which is in the similar form of the Janaka. Janaka means both Janani and Janaka together, the parents. So this cycle is for physical forms. But up to the Prithivi level, it is Tanmatra form, the principal form. That is the difference. You have to keep it in mind. But the Panchikaranam has not been mentioned in between here.
Okay.
That is why you will find a jump happening.
Okay. I think that's clear, Banuji. I think it's clear. Then Anamaya Prani, the Prani Purusha Vishesha. That is well covered, Banuji. I think this is clear, Banuji. Thank you, Banuji.
Okay. Namaste, Vinod.
Binduji, I have, when I analyze these kind of things, I differentiate between the mind space where all this analysis is happening and the experiential space where actually we can, we experience things, right? So here the awareness or whatever that is becoming Akasha, for example, is only an experience, right? But then when we translate it into information, we end up with all kinds of problems. Because the Akasha technically is not a thing, right? And then but other things are things, right? The earth and all are things. Then it becomes easier. But the first steps become difficult.
But Vinod, in the mental and experiential level, mental space and experiential level, we cannot even touch anywhere near the Tanmatra level. The principle level, the principle of air, the principle of water, principle of sky. That is not within the mental. What you are talking about is after the Panchikaranam, what you said is you can apply that mental level or the experience.
Yeah, I agree. But then all the discussion is still happening in the information level, right?
No.
Like when we say touch, for example.
That is why I told that the initial part is Adhyatma and should not be considered as physical or materialistic. In the Adhyatma level, it is a philosophical discussion. And the philosophical aspect in which it is being formed. And there is no way you can do either informative, mental, or any other way in which you should extrapolate it. Extrapolation is
No, no,
possible
my
only
point
from
is,
the physical point of view.
no, because we are already doing that. That's not all I'm saying, right? We are trying to use one or the other ways, like using guna or something like that, right? So one or the other ways we are using to find the equivalence between Atma and rest of the things, correct?
No. The thing is that the guna is at the tanmatra level is not experiential.
Okay, but then see, the
Guna,
point is, we can tell, but we cannot we have to just take it as an abstract kind of thing.
No, not abstract. For that, we have to study the process of Panchikarana, which is given in the Chandogya Upanishad. Trivitkarana, Panchikarana is all being given in the other Upanishads. So unless that is discussed in detail, Ekekam Karavani, Trivitkaranam, that how it is being done is
at least
explained.
you did explain pretty nicely actually. And it's one of the beautiful expositions on this topic, in my opinion, whatever was discussed today. Okay. The only thing that I had was that experience. See, the problem is how can one become two is a fundamental problem in any of these kind of discussions. My general thing for you it is, look, you cannot mentally you cannot look at it. But experientially you know that you can change your shape experientially. Like for example, when I create a sparrow, I have become that sparrow, right? It is there, otherwise I cannot see that sparrow. Now, only through experience we know that you can do these kind of things. And therefore, at an experiential level, actually one can verify these kind of things. But not mental level. When I say mental, what I mean is representational. Everything is represented. So obviously when things are represented, one cannot become two, right? Because one becoming two becomes like you can split a ball into two different balls. But that's not one becoming two. It's like a different process altogether. So that way I normally tell these I have understood in this way. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
But the experientially we can experience a space in the sense that Atma feels like a space, right? Awareness feels like a space.
No, that is what I am saying, that experiential or mental, what we can touch is only the Murta Bhava or the materialistic aspects of it. Our experiential of space in the experiential part also is of the physical space, not the principle of space. There is a difference between these two. That's what I wanted you to understand. What you are saying, I can accept from Panchikarana onwards, afterwards. But what these referred as Tadatmya Bhavena, Shabda, Rupa is being now given to Akasha is not a mental or experiential ideology. It is a philosophical way of bringing it into before the Panchikaranam. Then Akasha, half of Akasha and the rest of the four together becomes the physical Akasha, which can be mental or experiential.
No, I see. The space as seen by our senses is different. When I say you experience space, that's not really the physical space, like touch and that way, not that way, but conceptually, there is something like space, right? Now that also you feel it's materialistic in nature?
What space are you conceptualizing? It is for your experience of the physical space. Otherwise, you cannot have a concept of a principle of a space in the experience.
See, when you say you exist, and then what is the nearest that can come to that experience of existence? We say it's like space. Because we know space, so we try to equate to that. But actually our own existence feels like that, right? It's not like, something different, I feel.
See, our own existence aspect, what is existence we know is only object experiences, including the Akasha. Akasha as an object we know exist. But existence in Akasha, what is the existence you can see in Akasha?
No, you don't see the existence in Akasha. Your existence is independent of any of these five things, right? You
No,
simply know you exist.
no. You are made up of the five things. That is why you are finding it difficult to separate it out.
Okay, it is anyway going in different direction. I only wanted to make a feeling, I had a feeling that we can experientially see it, but I can see your point, because essentially you are considering everything as totally abstract, the initial parts, which of course I also
Yeah,
agree, yeah.
initial part is abstract. That is why I
I
said it
agree.
is
Okay, yeah.
adhyatma part of it. But
I
after
would say that,
Panchikaranam,
yeah.
after Panchikaranam, I accept your statement about that can experiential and mental level we can do that. That is where your existence of Akasha and my own existence, that comparison can be done.
Okay, we'll discuss at some other time because that's not the core of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Vindaj.
So the sparrow falls into the vikara. That's the point, Vinoji. The tadatma versus the vikara, that was separation we discussed. Sparrow falls into vikara. What is prior
No,
to it
one is, I think
is what it says.
Vikara is more like manifest, right? Unmanifest and manifest. I think both are equivalent in my opinion. But anyway, these Sanskrit words I truly will not know the real meanings that you have to. It becomes very difficult for me. Frankly.
Namaste, Ganesh.
Namaste, Bindoji. Bindoji, this is very clear today. And I have one question. From Tadatmya Bhava, Atman has given the gunas to all the five tanmatras, isn't it?
Yes.
And in the process of, however long it takes with all the descriptions, in the process of the realization of Brahman, will it all be reversed in the order?
That is what the the Panchakosha Viveka will be doing. From the Annamaya, we will go to the Atma.
Okay. So
The
there are
process
methods.
is Annamaya. Yes. Panchakosha Viveka, when you de-identify yourself from the Annamaya, then the Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, like that, when you dehusk your own identification with the different layers of the bodies,
Okay.
the Panchakosha, when that is the time when the Nihidam Guhayam Parame Vyoman will become a reality to you.
So that becomes, all these gunas will vanish and it becomes nirguna.
Yes, because these gunas are not different from the
Atma.
Nirguna.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That is also true. Yes. Yeah, that is true. From nirguna only they have come.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Vindoji. Thank you. It's very tricky, but if that method, it will be there in the classes to come, no?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. It has made us to be on the toes to listen to that.
That's why once you completely study the Taittareeya Upanishad in the technical background, almost all questions which we have in our creation and etc. will get clarified. Same thing is told in a different way in the Purusha Sukta also.
Oh, Adhyadhishta Angulam something comes.
Atyadhishtad Dashangulam. Sa Vishnu, Sa Shiva, Sa Hari, Sendra, Sukshara, Paramaswarat. All those things will come there, no? It's from different angles it is being approached. That's all.
Really, Taittareeya is fantastic. I mean, it takes us step by step, I think, to the core.
Yes.
Thank you, Bindoji. Thanks for your patient what is that? You're handing us through all these tricky things.
Thank you,
very much.
Ganesh. Can we stop, Prakash?
Yes, Binduji. So I'll just thank all the audience members and people who came up for the discussion, and most importantly, thank you very much, Binduji, taking the time and leading us through the very important aspect of how we can pursue this Sramana Manana, Nididhyasana. And special thanks to Prasad for coming and helping us out when Artemisia is not feeling too well. So with this, we'll end today's session. So over to you, Binduji. We can close it.
Okay. Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Prasad, Venkat, Vinod, and Ganesh for questions.
Thank you, Binduji. Thanks a lot.
Thank you all for attending. We'll meet again on Friday. Continue with the remaining part of the Prathama Anuvaka, the first Anuvaka, and then we'll go from there to the next. And from the next onwards, I may not be depending purely on Shankara Bhashya, but I'll be more going through because it's all the 5 koshas are similar, except there are 1 or 2 places where I'll be referring to Shankara Bhashya. Otherwise, the meaning of the mantras itself is good enough for us to sail through. That will make it slightly faster because all the koshas are similar. So we will be able to, wherever there is a difference, that only will be highlighted. Okay. Thank you all. Hari Om. Good night.
Hari Om.
Good night. Good night. Thank you. Get well soon, Venkatji.
Prakashji, who closes the room?
I'll close it.
Okay.
Thank you.